Hi everyone, I'm Ria. Welcome back to our ongoing journey into music theory. Today, we're diving into episode 8 of our series on Schoenberg's theory of harmony. Last time, we talked about seventh chords, what they are, how to prepare them, and how to resolve the dissonant intervals they create. That wrapped up our discussion of major triads and seventh chords. If that's sounding a bit fuzzy, I highly recommend revisiting the previous episode to refresh your memory. This time, instead of continuing with other chords in the major scale, we're going to apply what we've learned to minor keys. First, let's review the three common types of minor scales. We'll start with the natural minor scale. A classic example is A minor, which is the relative minor of C major. It actually originates from one of the church modes, specifically the Aeolian mode. It's made by starting on A and playing only the white keys upward. But here's the thing. In the natural minor scale, the seventh note is a whole step below the tonic, which means it lacks that strong upward pull we get from a leading tone. So, why do we even want a leading tone in minor? Why does minor have to behave like major? Can't we just embrace the natural minor for what it is? Well, historically, musicians weren't satisfied with that lack of tension. So, they started raising the seventh note by a half step, turning G into G sharp in A minor. Good. We now have the harmonic minor scale, where the seventh note pulls more strongly toward the tonic. But this created another issue. Between the raised sixth, F, and the raised seventh, G sharp, we now have an augmented second interval, which sounds awkward and harsh. To fix that, we raise the sixth note too, turning F into F sharp, creating the melodic minor scale. This one sounds much smoother than the harmonic minor, especially in ascending lines. The melodic contour is more elegant, less clunky. In fact, as we saw last time, both the harmonic and melodic minor scales were invented just to give the seventh note that strong half-step pull toward the tonic. So, raising the sixth and seventh only makes sense when the scale is ascending. That's why in upward motion, we use the melodic minor and ignore the harmonic minor. Melodic minor gives us that leading tone pull without the awkward augmented second. So here's the deal. F sharp and G sharp only exist in the context of ascending melodic motion. F sharp must lead to G sharp, and G sharp must lead to A. In descending lines, there's no need for leading tones, so we go back to the natural minor. F leads to E, and G leads to F. That's the proper directional use of these altered notes. Now, let's take a look at the diatonic triads in both the natural and harmonic minor scales. I've listed the chord qualities below. When practicing chord progressions in these minor scales, we have a few rules to follow. First, all motion involving altered scale degrees must respect their proper direction, unless you're holding a common tone, of course. For instance, G sharp must move to A and F sharp must move to G sharp. G must move down to F, and F must move down to E. Second, all diminished triads must be prepared and resolved, just like we did with major keys. That means you need to pre-sound the dissonant interval, usually the diminished fifth, and then resolve the root with a strong motion, typically a descending fifth or ascending fourth. You can use altered chords or not. That part's flexible. Third, only connect chords that share common tones. If that conflicts with the previous rule, just skip the chord. Fourth, for now, only use chords in root position. Fifth, the augmented triad found in the melodic minor scale, specifically the third degree chord, contains an augmented fifth, which is also a dissonance. But it's a special case. Since inverting this chord doesn't change the intervals, it doesn't require preparation like a diminished chord does. Still, any raised seventh, like G sharp, must resolve upward. Sixth, try to minimize your use of chords containing raised sixth and seventh notes, unless you're resolving to the tonic. Save those spicy chords for cadences. Use them when you really need that dramatic final push. For instance, use the dominant chord from the melodic minor scale only when you're about to resolve to the tonic. If you'd like, pause the video here and try writing a few short chord progressions. We'll listen to some examples in a bit. If you've gotten comfortable writing phrases using root position chords and minor keys, you're ready to start using inverted triads as well. Use them just like you did in major. Sixth chords are fair game, but cadential 6/4 chords still need preparation and resolution. Either prepare the root or the bass note, and don't leap into or away from that bass note. Also, all raised 6th and 7th degrees must still move in the proper direction, unless they're being held as common tones. And again, if a rule gets in the way, just skip the chord. Don't force it. Now, if you're ready to go even further, you can start using 7th chords and their inversions. The rules are the same. Prepare the dissonance, resolve it by step downward, and be careful when using raised 6th and 7th scale degrees. Use them only in the proper direction unless you're sustaining a common tone. And again, if it breaks the rules, skip the chord. Let's see some examples. If you'd like, now's a great time to pause and try writing some phrases using both root position and inverted chords in minor. I also recommend practicing this in other minor keys. I'm Ria, and if you want to learn composition and harmony in a systematic way, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.